A message from the other side comes at a cost and brings results. Welcome to episode 26 of My True Ghost Stories. Back in my early spirit sending days as a medium, I was working non-stop with trapped spirits. They were everywhere, these trapped spirits, always begging for help. And although I loved helping them, it was exhausting. I had no boundaries. It would be one after the next, distracting me from my day-to-day activities and every time I had an idle minute. And even if I was engaged with something non-ghostly, like having a conversation with a neighbor, the ghosts would be behind the neighbor, waving over the neighbor's shoulder. The problem was I had no boundaries in place. I had just recently discovered that I had the ability to help untrap trapped spirits by helping them to cross over, and I felt like I had to help every single one that I saw. They were all so sad. And they are indeed everywhere, and they are usually desperate. I needed strategies for dealing with them. I needed boundaries, and I needed protection, especially when I slept. I'm okay with messages in dreams, but not with a spirit standing next to my bed trying to wake me up. I, like everyone else, need my sleep. A sleep-deprived medium is no use to anyone, alive or departed. When I help these spirits, I have guides. And these guides of mine inform me what the trapped spirit in front of me needs in order to cross over. And it's always something different. Like I have to tell them a name or a favorite object. Things like, Rita is on the other side. Or one of my favorites, your record player is on the other side. Something to encourage them to cross over. So in order to get the words to say to the trapped spirits, I listen to my guides and they tell me what to say and I tell the spirit. And the trapped spirits, for some reason, can only see me, not my guide. So I'm like a go-between. Now, I have many guides from different faiths, and I also have some guardian angels, but I have a main guide. He's like my direct supervisor. And I'm going to tell you who it is. For some reason, I'm shy about it. Don't know why. But I will tell you, it's an archangel, and I could remain shy about it, not say his name, and just call him the archangel with whom I have a special relationship. But it would be silly to be saying while telling this story. And then the archangel with whom I have a special relationship said, and then I asked the archangel with whom I have a special relationship, is just too many words. Plus, I know that it's okay with him to tell you all who he is. No need for this anonymity. So here it is. It's Archangel Michael. In the book, Michael, Communicating with the Archangel for Guidance and Protection, link is in the show notes, author Richard Webster says, Archangel Michael is an exceptionally strong angel who protects and defends people. And no matter what type of protection you need, Michael is ready and willing to provide it. No matter what sort of situation you find yourself in, Michael will give you the necessary courage and strength to deal with it. And I have found this to be true. Archangel Michael is my main guide, the big guide. The one with the most answers, the big answers. I definitely have other guides, but it always starts with St. Michael, who I just call Michael. We're on a first-name basis. And one day I will tell you the story of how our partnership began. But at the time of this story, I was still in the midst of this nonstop day and night helping of trapped spirits. And one day, I was in a rare moment of quiet between ghosts. And I got a message from Michael. It was very clear, in words, not in meaning. And I knew it was directly from Michael, and it was about me. Not a spirit that I was helping, it was for me. And the message from Michael to me was, it's at the Botanica. It costs $10. Johnny knows what it is. In episode 9, I talk about Johnny's Universal Botanica, which is one of my favorite places in the world. A Botanica is a religious goods store, and I grew up in a neighborhood with lots of them, and I've included a link to the definition of Botanica. I've also included the contact information for Johnny's store. So, after hearing this message, it's at the Botanica. It costs $10. Johnny knows what it is. I thought, what? What's at the Botanica? And $10? Now I'm going to reveal something else about myself. I don't like to spend money. First, I revealed to you my alliance with St. Michael, and now I am revealing to you that I don't like to spend money. And this, me not spending money, can be a problem. As far as spending money goes, I am much better than I used to be, but it does not come naturally. And while, yes, it does help with the size of my savings account, I have deprived myself of many a luxury and many a necessity, when you get down to it, in the name of saving money. And this ultra frugality came from what some people would call a fear of financial insecurity. And this fear used to rule my life. And I was still living in that fear when this story took place. So for Michael to suggest that I spend $10 was a lot. And this was a while ago, so it seemed like more than it does now. I usually only spent a few dollars at a time at Johnny's Universal Botanica, and I didn't even know from this message what it was I was supposed to buy there for $10. But I did trust Michael, and I also trusted Johnny. So I wiggled a $10 bill out of my wallet and headed to the Botanica, thinking about all the other things I could buy with $10. Johnny knew about my relationship with St. Michael. I had told him about it when it first started, so he knew what I was talking about. When I walked in the door, the little chimes above it ringing, I moved past the employee who was stocking shelves out of a cardboard box. I saw Johnny behind the counter, and I blurted out, "Michael sent me a message." Right then, the employee stopped stocking the shelves out of the boxes and went to the back as Johnny came out from behind the counter, and the customer he had just finished with headed out the door, the chimes ringing again. Johnny stood in front of me and said, "Okay, what's the message from Michael?" Johnny calls Michael by his first name as well. I began. Michael says, and I repeated the message word for word. He says, "It's at the Botanica. It costs $10. Johnny knows what it is." Now, Johnny is very connected to the other side. Besides running the store, he gives readings all day, like 6 days a week. So he didn't have to focus long before figuring out this message. After a moment, he said to me, "Do you have Michael in your house?" And I answered, "I have a St. Michael candle, that's it." And the candle had only cost $1. "Well, that's not enough to protect you," he responded. "Michael wants you to have protection." During this conversation, Johnny had been leaning against the boxes that the employee had been stocking the shelves from. And he looked at me for a second after talking about Michael wanting me to have protection, and then he turned around, reached into the box on the top, and pulled out, right from the top, a St. Michael statue. And there, on a little white round sticker, was the price tag. $10. "There you go," he said, handing it to me. "This will protect you." The employee who had been unpacking the boxes was now behind the counter, and Johnny told him to ring me up. He gave me a quick rundown on how to set up a St. Michael altar. He said goodbye and headed into the back. Just another day at the Botanica. Cryptic messages from the other side being decoded like it was the most normal thing in the world. Because there, at the Botanica, it is the most normal thing in the world. And that's why I love it there. I handed over my hard-earned $10 bill. The employee handed me my statue of St. Michael in a small brown paper bag. I thanked him and headed home. Okay, I thought to myself as I walked down the sidewalk. Michael wants to protect me. He sent me here to get a statue, to learn how to set up an altar, and to invest $10 in myself. And I realized that this protection being offered right now by St. Michael in the form of this message and statue, was to help set those boundaries with the spirits. This was letting me know that Michael not only needed me to help him help those trapped spirits, but that he was there to help me. He wanted to protect me against the onslaught of spirits that were bombarding me all day and all night. He wanted to help me get some sleep. I decided to set up the altar next to my bed. When I went to bed that night, I prayed to St. Michael to keep the spirits at bay while I slept and tell them that I would help them tomorrow. And it worked. I slept. And this protection extended to the morning. I had coffee and meditated in peace, with the feeling that Michael was maintaining an orderly line of needy souls outside my door, as opposed to inside my house. And he knew that I would help these spirits after I had gotten myself together. Good night's sleep, coffee, meditation, breakfast. Michael was encouraging basic self-care that you have to do before you help others. You have to put your own oxygen mask on before helping someone else on with theirs. And I needed help with that. I needed someone to hold back the spirits who needed care while I cared for myself. And I had to invest $10 to do it. But I still wished I could have somehow gotten that statue for free. But $10 or no, I was so grateful for this new arrangement, set up by Michael, me getting a break. And I felt less frantic and bothered that next day. I still helped a ton of spirits that next day, more than I would today, but I finally felt supported, and I knew that I was going to be able to do this fulfilling work and live my life. And about that $10. 2 days after visiting the Botanica and setting up my altar, I was with a friend visiting his father at an assisted living facility about a 20-minute drive from my home. There were, of course, a few spirits there at the facility that I helped, but I was able to set a boundary and spend time with the living resident of the place who I had come to see. The visit went well. We spent some time chatting, and eventually my friend and I said goodbye to his father and headed out to grab some lunch. We took the elevators down to the ground floor, and at the exit from the lobby to the outside, right in front of these big glass doors, there were stairs that led down to the sidewalk. And to the right, there was a wheelchair access ramp that also led to the sidewalk. We walked out the door together. My friend took the stairs, but for some reason, something told me to walk down the ramp. I took several steps down the ramp, which had 2 landings, and there, at the bend between the 2 landings, on the ground, laying face up and unfolded, was a $10 bill. I stood there staring. This $10 bill was flat and uncrumpled, as if it had been laid there. I looked around, and no one was nearby except my friend, who was just standing on the sidewalk at the bottom of the steps waiting for me. And I started to cry. I knew that this was a reimbursement from St. Michael, a reimbursement from the universe. I knew that they were telling me that my efforts, what I spend, would be returned to me. I knew that they were telling me that asking Michael to protect me was going to work. I was safe. My investment had been worthwhile. My friend came up to join me on the ramp to see why I was just standing there crying, and I pointed at the $10 bill on the ground. "Oh, wow," he said, knowing the whole story of the Botanica and the statue of Michael from 2 days before. I picked it up and we headed for the car. At home, I took the bill, folded it in half, and put it under the Michael statue, where it remains to this day. And Michael continues to keep the spirits at bay all night, so I can sleep and have the energy to do this work. So this is a story of abundance and faith. I encourage you to trust that what you put out there will be returned to you. As always, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please take a second to review, subscribe, and share it with a friend to help this show grow. And that's all for today. Thank you for listening to today's episode. And if you think your house is haunted, want energy cleared from your space, or need a custom spiritual ritual, I'm here to help. Visit jpclearing.com or email me at jpclearing60@gmail.com. Don't forget to join me here every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time.